All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us with the kickoff to kindergarten here for the Edmonds School District. I do want to let you know that we do have interpretation available this evening. We have American Sign Language. We have Spanish interpretation room down at the bottom of your screen, as well as Arabic down at the bottom of your screen. And I'm so excited to say that we have almost 400 people joining us right now. We are just so excited to be here and to talk all about kindergarten. So let me do some introductions right now. Next slide, Tara. Thank you. So I want to introduce Dr. Helen Jung. She is our Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Schools. We have Haley Ittner, who is our Special Education Director. Darcy Becker is our Early Learning Manager, and we have Joanne Todd, our Director of Elementary Programs and K-12 Induction, and we have Kelly Moses, the Federal Programs Director, and I am Harmony Weinberg, and I have the privilege of being the Communications Manager for the Edmonds School District, and we also have principals here for representing each of our elementary schools. So we are excited to introduce each of them to you a little later on in the program. So right now I'm going to hand it off to Helen. Oh, Helen, you're on mute. Do you mind repeating?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to say that all over again.
Welcome.
Welcome. I'm going to get started with a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the original inhabitants of this place, the Snohomish people, and their successors, the Tulalip tribes, who since time immemorial have taken care of, hunted, fished, and gathered on these lands. We respect their sovereignty, their right to self-determination, and we honor their sacred spiritual connection with the land and water. By acknowledging these homelands, we are also committing to working with tribal nations to further the education aims they have identified in our classrooms and schools. And welcome, everyone. Next slide. Now I would like to hand it over to our Early Learning Manager, Darcy.
Good evening, everyone. It's so nice to join you today. The first thing that I wanted to just make sure that we understand, because we have many families that come from all around the world, is who is eligible for kindergarten. So which children, what ages, are there income requirements? These are lots of questions that I've received from parents. In the Edmonds School District, if children reside within the Edmonds School District boundaries, those are children who are eligible for kindergarten in Edmonds. And any child who turns 5 by August 31st, 2021 is eligible for kindergarten in the school district this next school year. So those are the only requirements or restrictions on who is eligible for kindergarten. Next slide. We have several transition events that happen in the Edmonds School District. And this is one of those activities. Kickoff to Kindergarten is our first event of the in preparation for the next school year. We have lots of other things that will be happening throughout the spring, but in the fall, as we're getting prepared to come back, we have a transition event called Jumpstart. And Jumpstart is 4 days in August, 4 half days in August, when students are welcomed into our school buildings prior to the first day of school to learn a little bit about the school and how the school runs. They are able to build connections with their teachers, with the other staff in the school, with one another, and to explore what the environment of their new school is all about. And one of the biggest things that they love to explore is the playground. So we want to make sure that you know that Jumpstart is an important transition event. And again, that happens in August. Next slide. We also have, right at the very beginning of the school year, we use the first 3 days of the new school year to conduct what are called family connection meetings. These meetings are really important. They're individual meetings between teachers and families to get to know each other and to get to know, for you to get to know your teacher and for us to get to know more about your family and your specific child. It's a great opportunity to share information and to also learn more about and ask those questions to help both both the teachers and the families to learn more about how to make a successful year for their incoming kindergartner. Next slide. Right at the very beginning of the school year, in the first couple of months of the school year, our kindergarten staff will do an assessment that is called, that some people have heard called WA-KIDS. There's actually 3 different parts of WA-KIDS, and one of those parts is the whole child assessment. We use a tool called Teaching Strategies Gold to take an inventory of children's incoming skills when they enter kindergarten. And these 6 areas listed here, social, emotional, physical, cognitive, language, literacy, and mathematics, are the 6 different areas of Teaching Strategies Gold. What we really want to understand is kind of what are those strengths that your child comes to school with. So that's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for you to learn more about, as parents to learn more about school, and for us to learn more about your kiddo around what are those incoming levels of skill that we would want to see, and how do we set goals together to support your student throughout the school year. Okay, next slide is, okay, here we are, and I'm going to toss it over to Kathleen.
Darcy. I'm Kathleen Hodges, principal at Madrona K-8. And entrance at Madrona K-8 and Maplewood K-8 are a little different. They are through entry pool. We are 2 option K-8 programs. What we do in terms of curriculum, education, etc., is like our neighborhood schools. What's different is the format of our schools. And so families who have been through a tour have submitted paperwork for the entry pool for kindergarten. And our office staff is in the process of contacting families whose names have been pulled from the entry pool. The registration process is very similar to what you're going to hear for our neighborhood programs. It's just that you'll be registering for Maplewood and Madrona versus your neighborhood school.
Good evening, I'm Joanne Todd. I'm the Director of Elementary Programs, and I get to share with you what a typical day is in the life of a kindergartner. And this is not specific to your school. This is to help give you a general sense of what a full day kindergarten program entails. So first, we have our children will receive 3 outdoor kind of breaks, and it's generally an effort's made to have it broken out between beginning of the day, middle of the day tied to lunch, and somewhere in the afternoon. And there are some short ones in the morning and afternoon, and a little bit longer in the middle of the day. So you see here, next, every day your child will experience a specialist for 30 minutes. And that means that in a week, Your child will have 2 PE classes, about 2 music classes, and 1 library class. Next, you'll see we also have in kindergarten built-in times for social emotional learning and also community building through morning meetings and closing circle. It's a way for them to connect with one another, connect with their teacher, and help build community. You also can expect when it comes to academics that your child will have dedicated time to phonics instruction, that's letter sounds, and names, and then reading and writing time. Also, they'll have dedicated time towards mathematics as well. Next, our kindergartners do engage in handwriting practice and science and social studies as well. What will happen is generally 2 to 3 days a week, they'll have science or social studies. Usually it's within units. So like 6 weeks worth of science, then they have 4 to 6 weeks of social studies, then they move on to 4 to 6 weeks of science. And then handwriting is a little bit more, happens more in the fall, and they get more science and social studies winter and spring. And finally, they get to engage in play to learn. And that's also called purposeful play. And this is an opportunity for our kindergartners to engage with one another and to practice their social skills and academic skills. So for instance, what they might do during this time could be that there's one of the options is a kitchen area where they are practicing their problem solving skills, their sharing skills, making creative creations. They could be sharing a meal and working collaboratively. Another example during this time is that they could have a literacy area where they're working with letters, sounds, and words. They're reading books or having books read to them. They could also be engaging in, another option might be puzzles or math manipulatives, where they're really exploring problem solving, shapes, numbers, and applying the skills that they're learning at the other times of the day. And finally, they could have another opportunity to engage in creative play around, maybe it's a flower shop or a pizza stand, and they're making signs, they're writing menus, they are selling goods and exchanging money that they make, and so they have math skills and writing skills, and also incorporating their science as well. So there's just some examples of what could happen during play to learn, but it really is an opportunity for them to engage in social and academic purposeful play.
All right, thank you. This is Darcy Becker again, the Early Learning Manager. One of the things that Joanne shared with you is about that purposeful play and times for connection within classrooms. It is really important that we not just develop academic skills within our children, but kind of those lifelong skills. And so being able to communicate with one another, being able to solve problems, being able to know how to get along with one another, those are skills that are needed for life. So we do a lot of work with our kindergartners in play, in classroom times like morning meeting and closing circle, and just helping our children to gain those skills. And we use a particular curricula called the Second Step program to really focus our efforts. Next slide, please. Second Step actually has 4 areas of focus for kindergarten. There are skills for learning, or kind of like how to be a learner in a classroom, those types of skills. We also work significantly on developing empathy skills, so kind of understanding my own emotions, understanding how other people are feeling, and how to take another person's perspective. That is a skill that we develop in young children, and very much a highlight or a focus of the second step program. Emotion management is also a part of that curriculum. So identifying what feelings we're feeling when we're having big feelings, where we feel them in our bodies, and how to deal with those big feelings, how to help ourselves calm down, what are some different strategies we can use, how we can encourage ourselves and one another when we're having those moments of strong feelings. And then the fourth area of focus for kindergartners is solving problems. So being able to understand other people's perspectives and recognize feelings that other people are showing us in their facial expressions. Those type of foundational skills are important to be able to solve problems. So solving problems means that we are negotiating with one another to find a solution that is acceptable to both parties. So playground problems, problems around sharing materials in the classroom or during play to learn. We only have one red purse in the home center. And so not everyone can play with that one red purse at the same time, but we all want that red purse at the same time. So how do we solve those problems? Those are very important skills that we work on in kindergarten and second step helps us do that. Next slide, please.
Oh,
and there are also,
can I just hold up for just a second? We're going to switch interpreters. I just want to make
no
sure
problem.
the deaf person is aware to switch who they're looking at. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. We also have lessons and social emotional resources that are available to your family and your child through our school psychologists. So school psychologists do a variety of work within elementary schools. One of the things that they do is provide classroom lessons. They also provide small group or sometimes individual support when needed with small groups of children or individuals who are experiencing a challenge or a stressor. Also, the school psychologists are excellent resources for our families, for parents to be able to draw upon if you have questions or you're wanting to support your child differently or wondering what kinds of resources might be available within the community or the school district. Your school psychologists are an excellent resource for you. Okay, next slide. And I'm going to turn that over to Kelly Moses.
Thank you. My name is Kelly Moses, and I'm the Director of Federal Programs, which includes English learners or multilingual learners. So how your child is identified for services for this program is if your child's first language is something other than English or English and another language, or if another language is mostly spoken to your child at home. Your child will be eligible to be screened to be possibly eligible for programs. So this year, of course, there was just a provisional screening going on, but next fall and hopefully as early as August, we will be able to offer a screener so that we can identify students that need services. And what they might look like is there might be some push-in services at the classroom level or small group individual pull-out services for especially our newcomers. And this would be by an English learner specialist or an English learner paraeducator. All of our kindergarten English learners will have access to Imagine Learning and literacy software. And if it's distance, it's asynchronous time. And if it's not, it's times during the day. And then targeted data-driven instruction based upon the Imagine Learning data. What we're doing a lot of at the elementary level is a lot of collaboration and co-teaching with general education classroom teachers so that English language development is presented in the classroom setting. All right, and then I'm going to pass on the next slide.
All right, thank you, Kelly. So I'm Haley and I am the Director of Special Programs. And Special Programs offers resource and learning support to our students in kindergarten. As Darcy already mentioned, you would work with your school psych and your classroom teacher around that. In addition, we host developmental kindergarten, and developmental kindergarten programs are accessed through the student's individual education plan or their IEP. They provide similar focus areas as kindergarten classes, but also provide additional supports in communication, social emotional skills, and independent and adaptive skills. It's an early intervention to prepare students in their kindergarten year for learning in their first grade year in general education with support, or in programming that supports their social emotional skills and or their independent and adaptive skills. If you have questions about your student, we can start that process by accessing this email, specialeducation@edmonds.wednet.edu, and we can get you to your neighborhood school or help you navigate next steps. And I will also put that in the Q&A. And now I think I turn it over to Helen.
All right, thank you. My name is Helen Jung, Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Schools, and enrollment for kindergarten starts on March 3rd. So there are two different ways to enroll in kindergarten in Edmonds School District, and one way is to enroll online on the district website. And you also have paper enrollment options, which can be picked up and dropped off at your student's neighborhood school. Next slide. And I'd like to make sure that all of our families here take a look at the welcome sessions that are uploaded into our website as well as our YouTube channel. Dates for welcome sessions that each individual school will have for kindergartners will be provided by your student's neighboring school on the district website soon, but there are also videos up already that you can check out. So the school video tours will be posted on school websites and will be accessible until the beginning of the school year. So feel free to check them out. Next slide. And now, without further ado, I'd like for us to introduce to you our principals. So we have all 22 principals in attendance. We have 22 elementary schools in Edmonds School District, and I will call out the name of their school, and they will introduce themselves to you. Beverly Elementary.
Hi, I'm Danielle Sanders, principal at Beverly Elementary.
Briar.
Hi, I'm Jonna Stewart, principal at Briar Elementary. Welcome.
Cedar Valley.
Hi, I'm Leah Bracken. I'm the principal of Cedar Valley. Welcome to kindergarten.
And Chase Lake.
Hi, I'm Sean Silver. I'm the principal at Chase Lake Community School.
College Place.
Hello, I'm Stacy Crump, and I'm the principal at College Place Elementary. Welcome.
Edmonds.
Welcome, kindergarten families. I'm Alex Alexander, the principal at Edmonds Elementary School. Nice to see you.
Hazelwood.
Lee, I'm the principal of Hazelwood. Welcome to our newest Eagles.
Hilltop.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Somoza, principal at Hilltop Elementary.
Lindale.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Fulford, the principal of Lindale Elementary.
Linwood. Linwood Elementary.
Hi, everybody. My name's Jacqueline Henley. I'm the principal of Linwood Elementary School.
Madrona K-8.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kathleen Hodges, principal of Madrona K-8 multi-age program.
Maplewood Co-op.
Good evening, kinder families. I'm Michelle Jacobs-Mathis, principal at Maplewood Parent Cooperative. Welcome.
Martha Lake.
Hello, future Mustangs. Stephanie K. Fredrickson, and I'm looking forward to being your principal.
Meadowdale.
Hello, my name is Dan Davis, the principal at Meadowdale Elementary.
Mount Lake Terrace.
Hi, I'm Mary Williams, and I'm the principal at Mount Lake Terrace Elementary.
Oak Heights.
Hello, future Bobcats. I am Jessica Asp, the principal at Oak Heights Elementary.
Seaview.
Good evening, families. I'm so glad to meet you. Welcome to Seaview Elementary. Go Sharks. My name is Heather Picar, and I'm the principal.
Sherwood.
Hi, I'm Christy Kessler, the principal at Sherwood Elementary. Thanks for being here tonight.
Spruce.
Good evening, families. I'm Emily Moore, principal of Spruce Elementary School.
Terrace Park.
Good evening, families. I am Brett Hagan, the principal at Terrace Park School.
And Westgate Elementary.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mary Freitas, the principal at Westgate Elementary. Go Cougars.
Thank you so much, principals. Families, we're all here for you to field any questions that you have. I'm going to hand it back to Harmony.
Yes, good evening again, everyone. So we've had a lot of questions in the question and answer button at the bottom of your webinar screen. So for those joining us on YouTube, I know that you're not going to be able to see those. So I'm going to call out some of the questions that I think could benefit our entire almost 500 participants right now. And I'll just call on the principal who filled that in the chat. So one question let's get to is, when will we know the exact dates for Jumpstart? And Brett, you want to answer this one? Brett
Sure.
from Terrace Park?
Yeah, Brett Hagan at Terrace Park School. So we should know that fairly soon. Each school is determining the best week that will work for them based on staffing, both of teachers and paraeducators. So there were 2 different weeks that potentially that could be held in August. So those dates should soon be available on the district website. And each school will also have that information pretty soon in August so that you can plan accordingly. And we look forward to welcoming your students at their Jumpstart Week in August.
Thank you. And Helen, did you want to?
Yes, I think I forgot a school. I think I named 21 schools when in fact we have 22. And that school is Cedar Way.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Lindblom, principal at Cedar Way Elementary School. Welcome tonight.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. So when or will the students have their class assignments before Jumpstart? Emily, do you want to answer that one?
Sure. So the answer for this varies, but typically at a school like Spruce, we use Jumpstart to learn about our new kids, our new loves coming in. We do some assessing, we do some learning about how to do school. And then after the teachers have learned the kids a little bit, we do some class placement. At Spruce, we send a postcard home at the end of the week, and then our teachers call and make contact with you so that we can schedule our family connection meeting that is the first few days of school. So for Spruce, end of Jumpstart Week into the next week.
Thank you, Emily. And one more Jumpstart question is, how will Jumpstart work if remote learning continues? And Brett, you had answered that. You want to take it away?
Yeah, I mean, I think I certainly getting Brett Hagan, principal at Terrace Park. Certainly, I believe all of us hope that we can have an in-person Jumpstart in August. That's what our plan would be. We certainly just need to follow the Department of Health guidelines to ensure safe and healthy practices for the students and the staff and the families during that week. Of course, we might have to make a decision about that depending upon how the pandemic proceeds. And the school district will certainly communicate out to families and determine if we're able to do that remotely or if we would need to alter a Jumpstart and maybe just wait until the start of school. So we do hope that we will see your kindergarten students in person in August, but we will just have to make the best safety and health decision for everyone involved.
Thank you, Brett. One of the questions is, will these slides be available afterwards? Well, better yet, we are live streaming right now on YouTube. So we have our Edmond School District YouTube channel. And so this whole presentation will be available. It's happening now, and it'll also be available for you to go back and watch again, share with friends and other families who may be entering into kindergarten with us as well. Another question, so I know the Madrona and Maplewood process. Holly, do you want to talk a little bit about the application process for that?
Could we hold for one quick moment? We're going to have a transition to the other interpreter.
Perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Okay, we're ready to go. Holly, or Holly, are you available to answer that?
Holly just texted me and said she's having audio problems. This is Kathleen Hodges.
Principal at Madrona, are you able to address that?
Yes, I can. And sorry, Michelle Mathis from Maplewood from hogging the meeting. Remind me of the question again.
Yes,
After all of the confusion.
either you or Michelle's can speak to it, but I think people have some questions about the application process and also when they would find out if they were into either of those choice or option schools.
Great, thank you. With the option programs, parents attend a tour. There's a variety of tours on the evening and during the day that parents can attend to learn more about the program. And at the end of a tour, they are able to complete an application for the entry pool. And then families are selected from the entry pool for Madrona and Maplewood. The entry pool selection for kindergarten was at the end of last week. Our registrars are working through their list to contact families. And when the registrar calls you, they'll be able to talk about what that process is for completing paperwork. And I see there's a question about Madrona and Maplewood and what they are. I'm just going to leave it simply at they're two option programs. They're options because of their structures. Madrona is a multi-age program, and in Maplewood is a parent cooperative education program. And Michelle, I don't know if you want to speak more to that.
Sure. I would echo Kathleen's thoughts regarding the processes for learning more about the schools. We offer evening and day tours virtually, led by a member of our parent cooperative board for public relations. We did have the kindergarten drawing, as Kathleen said. However, I would encourage families who are interested in the Maplewood program to continue to take a tour, because one thing we've noticed with the pandemic is that many more drawings are occurring because families have competing needs, and sometimes they have greater, there's more mobility than what we've experienced in previous years.
Thank you. One question, and Joanne, I'm wondering if you want to address this. As you were talking about PE and music, one attendee asked about art and didn't see that reflected. Can you talk a little bit about art and how that works in our Edmonds School District elementary school programs?
Absolutely. So part of the music program is that they learn notes, they sing, they can learn instruments, learn how to read music and the different lengths of notes, things like that. But then we also have in our schools an option for actual art too, where they study an artist, they try on those techniques, how the teachers do that in a variety of different ways. So it could be that that's you know, once every Friday or every other Friday. Sometimes there's parent involvement and there's a parent docent. So there is also art as part of their experience as well.
Thank you. Helen, I'm going to ask this one to you. There's a question about, was it decided whether 6th grade will be moved to middle school for the district?
So that is actually being decided now. This week, we are meeting with
for two schools, right?
Yes, for 2 schools.
Okay.
So the 2 options is, will there be a kindergarten hub for kids who need to attend Sherwood and Westgate elementaries? And the other option is, do we move 6th graders from Sherwood and Westgate Elementary to College Place Middle School. So there is actually an advisory team comprised of parents, staff, district central office members, and we also surveyed our students for their student voice, and we'll be making that decision soon. There's some feasibility issues, some benefits and challenges for both, but we'll be making an announcement soon.
Thanks, Helen. And then I think to a broader question, in the past, we've talked about how our district is a K-6 elementary school, and a lot of our neighboring school districts are K-5, and that is something that we've talked about. I think some families are wondering where the district stands right now on that.
So I'm fairly new to Edmonds. I started on July 1st, but I do know historically that Edmonds School District does support a 6 to 8 middle school model. And we presented that during our last bond, which did not pass. And that created some limitations on moving on towards that goal. We had teams working for several years to figure out what that would look like. And yes, our neighbors do the 6 to 8 model, and we're hoping that we can reintroduce it again in our next bond.
Thank you, Helen. One of the questions is about the start time. So in the example Joanne showed, it had a later start end time. Darcy, do you want to talk about our different start times and how that works for our district for elementary?
Sure. We do have 3 different start times at different elementary schools within the Edmonds School District. So it is not part of our planning for next year that those different start times for the buildings would change for next year. So we are not planning a change. If you attend Hazelwood is a late start school. If you attend Lindale is an early start school, but the majority of our schools start in between there. And the best way to find out the start time and ending time of your child's school is on their building specific webpage on our district website.
Thank you, Darcy. Brett, I'm going to ask this one to you. Can you talk about advanced programs that are available for our elementary students?
Sure, Brett Hagan again, principal at Terrace Park School. So I guess 2 things. One, we do have a highly capable program for students who qualify or test into that program. That begins in the 1st grade. So all incoming kindergarten students would attend kindergarten at their home reference school or Maplewood or Madrona, and then would apply for and test for the challenge program, which is the name of the program. But again, that begins in 1st grade, and that's a highly capable self-contained program. Secondly, I do have to say, I think all of our schools work and all of our teachers work really hard to differentiate and meet the learning needs of all students. So I guess depending upon how you define advanced, many students can also be served in their or attend their home school and get advanced learning opportunities or differentiated instruction with their classroom teacher. But if you're speaking of the highly capable program, a self-contained program for students, that begins in the 1st grade here in our school district.
Thank you, Brett. One of the questions is about the criteria for transferring to a school outside of your what your address says is your neighborhood school. Helen, do you want to address that?
Yes, there is a process. There's a process that's dependent on several factors, though. You can get that application from my administrative assistant and online. And my assistant's name is Tara Titano, who accepts these applications to be able to change schools because you're wondering and wanting to go to another school, but your address is not within that certain boundary. There is a process, but I do want to say, it's not just filling out the form and getting the yes answer. There's lots of things that come into play. For example, is there space in that particular grade level, and et cetera, so that the student can transfer. So those things I will look at, and I craft a response for families. And sometimes Tara will go the extra mile. She always does. It's not sometimes, she always does, to get some more information from the family. So if you get a phone call about an application that you wrote, please don't be alarmed. She's just trying to gather information so she can get a full picture of what you're requesting and why.
Thank you, Helen. This is a question that I'm going to let whoever wants to answer, but I think it's parents who have children that turn 5, let's say in August, end of August. There's often that question about an assessment, or to find out if this would be a good opportunity to hold your child back a year, or to proceed on with kindergarten. Helen, do you want to address that, or someone else you want to refer to?
I'll start, and then I'll have Darcy, our early learning expert, take over after me. There's lots of different rationales as to why we choose what we do, right? For example, I really wanted personally my children to be 6 years old when they enter kindergarten. So that was a personal choice. There are families who want to do early entrance for lots of different reasons. So I'm going to hand this one back to Darcy, because it really depends on each individual student. So I don't think we can make blanket statements, but Darcy can give all of us some guidance around that.
Thanks, Helen. This is Darcy Becker, Manager of Early Learning Programs. It is always a very individual decision about entering students and when is the optimal time or the best time for them to enter. And often is more complex than just when their birth dates are. So I will provide my email address in the chat here in a few minutes. You can always email me, and if you want to discuss kind of your own children's needs or concerns that you might have, and we can direct you in the appropriate way to the staff members that can help you think through the concerns that you may see, or the needs that you may feel your child presents. So one of the things we want to make sure that we are thinking about when we enter students is our goal is that students will not merely survive going to school, but that they will thrive when they go to school. And so it is really important for us to put that in perspective. And you as the family, you know your child best, you know them and you know their needs. And as the as the educators who are available to you, it is our job and our role to be able to help you navigate the educational system and understand the relative benefits or challenges that are presented when your child enters school based upon their particular needs. So as I said, I'll put my email address in the chat, and hopefully if you have specific questions about your child, then we can talk about that directly, and I can help you kind of think through what are some relative pros and cons.
Thank you, Darcy. A couple questions. So kindergarten is 5 days, full days. Yes. So that is our current structure is that we offer a full day, 5-day a week kindergarten. But there are questions about before and after school programs. Helen, can you address that for families who need that?
Yes, every school, elementary school in Edmonds School District does have a before and after school childcare. And we have several providers who partner with us. One of the main providers who supports our children before and after school is an organization called Right at School, and also the YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, and Kids Crew at Mount Lake Terrace Parks and Rec. Now, if it's easier for families to use their own facilities. For example, like the Boys and Girls Club and the YMCA, you can directly sign up with them, but we also have before and after school care in each of our buildings.
Thank you, Helen. One question is about registration packets. So I want to talk a little bit about that date of March 3rd is when we plan to launch online registration. So we will have that available on our website. If you do want a paper copy and want to pick up an application on March 3rd or after, we encourage you to call your school office to ask about materials and office hours of how those will be distributed. One of the questions is about what kind of safety measures will there be to protect our littles during the COVID-19 pandemic? Helen, do you want to address that?
Sure. We're always going to follow our state and federal guidelines for to ensure that our kids are safe. Safety is number one. We do not want to put our kids or our staff at risk. And so we require that kids have face coverings, they're 6 feet apart, desks are arranged so that there's enough distancing if necessary. We're not quite sure what that's going to look like in the fall, and things may drastically change from now to the fall. But please know and be assured that we will follow all safety guidelines and protocols to keep our children safe, especially our littles.
Helen, another one for you.
I'm just going to hold you up again. I'm really sorry. We're going to switch interpreters one more time.
Perfect.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So does the school district anticipate a larger class of kindergartners this year due to the pandemic? And do you anticipate overcrowding issues or how this might impact the kids?
It's looking like we're going to have more kids in kinder and first grade than we've had in previous years due to the pandemic. There are families that kept children at home and wanted to wait a year before having their child enter kindergarten, even though they were age appropriate and ready for lots of reasons. And so there's always been capacity issues all over Edmond School District, meaning it's not just Sherwood and Westgate Elementary that I mentioned before, but we are expecting a higher enrollment. And to mitigate for that, we are in constant conversation right now about how to mitigate for that. And we start with the schools that have urgent needs, like Sherwood and Westgate Elementary. And news about what's going to happen in terms of one cohort going to College Place Middle School as sixth graders, or us creating a kindergarten hub of some sort. We're not even quite sure if we're going to call it a kindergarten hub or not, but a space dedicated for our kindergartners to thrive and flourish. And all of our kids deserve physical space to be able to do what they need to do and learn and prosper as scholars. And so that's what we're in talks right now, and you will get news as soon as we make decisions. So you'll have ample time to think with your family and create next steps for next fall.
Thank you, Helen. Not sure who wants to answer this one, but can maybe Darcy explain the early entry for kindergartners who are not quite 5 before August 31st?
Certainly. We do have an early entry process, and the first step in the early entry process is to email Tara. Tara, maybe you can put your email address in the chat for our families. There also is information on our website that directs you to these things. But the first step is just to let us know that you are interested in early entry. We do have an early entry screening process that involves face-to-face interactions between children, incoming children and their peers and kindergarten teachers. So we have a pretty robust time that we schedule for them to come in. They get to play with us, a small group of children. They do some different tasks with us, and we take a look at how the children function, how they what is their ability to separate from mom and dad, but we're looking at a variety of different types of skills. And we will have a component that includes input from parents. So we'll be asking our families to complete a survey about their particular child, because we do believe that as families, you know your children the best and you're experts in them. So we will ask you about their skills coming in. And the goal is that any children who are entering early, just like children who are entering on time, our goal is that they thrive, not just that they're able to make it, but that they actually thrive in the environment of kindergarten. So we expect that children coming in early will have advanced skills, and that they are able to demonstrate that they're as ready as a kind of typical kindergartner. And so we do look for them to have some advanced skills. I think that's the bottom line. So thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you, Darcy. And I do have some fun news. We actually have a kindergarten teacher here amongst us this evening. Lib, can I ask you a question that I'm sure our families and their little kinders watching this program have? Is what is the best part about kindergarten?
Well, just the getting to know each other and the social and learning through play and discovery, and they get to know their new friends, and just the excitement of school and the playground and going to lunch and the lunchroom. There's just so many things that's just so much fun about kindergarten.
Thanks, Lib. That's exciting. And then I think Helen, I think we answered most of the questions. If there's anything else you wanted to address, I'll toss it over to you to close out.
Thank you so much, Harmony. And I just want to say that kindergarten is such an important milestone, and it's so important for us to partner with families to make sure that we're setting all of our kinders up for success. And so thank you for being here with us. If you have questions, please continue to reach out to your neighborhood schools, and our principals and teachers are more than ready to support and help you along the way. And I'm so excited to partner with all of our families, and please take care and be safe, and we'll give you the latest and the greatest news about kindergarten as soon as they arrive. Thank you, Harmony.
All right, and that concludes our evening. Thank you everyone for joining us. Again, this will be available on YouTube to go back and watch. And we're just so excited for our kindergartners. All right, have a good evening. Principals,
Good night,
wave goodbye. They're excited. Bye.